Welcome to the Strenuous Life Radio, the podcast where entrepreneurs, men and women, learn the essentials and soft skills of the strenuous life. And now, here is your host, Jarrett. Hey guys, I meant to record some of these earlier, but, exigent circumstances. We're going to go ahead and have this as a live cast to make sure there ain't no more stupid mistakes. We're talking about empathy, alright? It's a beautiful sunny day here in West Texas, nice sunny morning. And I think it's a good time to be talking about empathy. There's people that's got broken hearts, feeling depressed. They need some insights. And they need some help. That's what old JR is here for. Here in a little bit, you're going to be hearing from Brene Brown. Her insights about empathy, but first you're stuck hearing from old JR. We talk a lot about rugged individualists, entrepreneurship, but I think any leader, any entrepreneur needs to have empathy for the people they serve. I've had people tell me, JR, you're too much of an empath. You're too much of an empath. Maybe they're right. But the good news is, ain't nothing wrong with having empathy. Because it helps you make it through life's vicissitudes. Theodore Roosevelt, he said this. He said, people don't care how much that you know until they know how much you care. I want you to think about that. And that's why old JR is here to tell you, if you want to be an effective leader in this combined age economy, empathy goes a long way. Alright? It goes a long way. So that's why old JR is here. Help you out. Give you strength. Because I'll tell you something. It's not easy living a strenuous life in some ways, but it's worth it. It's every bit worth it. God calls us for so much more. So much more. And so that's why I'm here to talk to you about how important empathy is. Now, empathy is good for people that suffer from loneliness. Maybe some people suffer from some confusion based on what's going on in our reactive culture. It's easy to want to give up. I know that. Old JR's came pretty close himself. But I'll tell you this much. I made it through. I made it through because I know how. Because God calls me to make it through. God calls me to be the very best I can be. He's the most sympathetic of them all. And so that's why it's important that I talk to you about taking empathy and having empathy. Because God calls us for so much more. Now listen to JR here. Some people may get accustomed to the cutthroat model of entrepreneurship, but that don't work with old JR. People like that get out of my face, because I believe in business that can affect with empathy. Alright? Empathy is important for us to begin to grasp here and now. Take it from old JR. You empathize with your customers. You empathize with people in your organization. That's the part that's most important. Like Theodore Roosevelt said, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. Okay, and so here in just a bit, we're going to hear from Brene Brown, her insights. So here we go once again, Brene Brown.
So what is empathy? And why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. At least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Well, so now you hear from old JR. Heard from Brene Brown. Empathy means, hey, I'm down here. I'm feeling your pain. The world only knows sympathy. Hey, I'm sorry. You want a sandwich? It's kind of like I'm dark. I'm in the dark. I'm alone. Anybody knows that. It's JR. I'm here with you. You're suffering any pains, I want to suffer with you. And be with you and know that I care about you and that God cares about you. Now, I hope you enjoy listening to Strenuous Life Radio. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of the Strenuous Life Radio family. It's J.R. Hendricks saying until next time, don't you just sit there and take it. You build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others don't so you can be what others won't. And do what others won't so you can have what others can't. And like my daddy always said, think strong, and live the strenuous life. God bless you. Y'all take care now, you hear?